All right, good morning, everyone. We're going to get going here. All right, U.S. markets, kind of a bit of a sideways grinding session again on Friday. Um, Managed to push up slightly on really light volume on the S&Ps. We did see a 1% down day on the Nasdaq as some big earnings disappointments out of Google and Microsoft really weighed on that sector. We've just seen lately that the volumes have really just dropped off in equity markets. Volatility's also dropped for the most part with it. So it's been a really dangerous place to try to make a call with conviction. So I think this week will be interesting to see if it continues going forward. Interesting on the earnings front, you can see there some of the basic materials and oil and gas stocks. The surprise to the upside has been incredibly high. The biggest misses have really been out of consumer services and technology, which have really been disappointing. So, I think it's important to take note of that, and I actually think that that it could mean a little bit of a shift in the market over the short term. I think you guys are more underweight some of these. Some of those type of stocks, the oil and gas and the especially the basic material stocks, and I think they're overweight technology. So, maybe see a little bit of a shift in the market here in the short run. All right, Asian stocks trading modestly higher. I think they were mostly down earlier, so we've had a little bit of a bounce back here. We've had the yen that's dropped through the 100 level again against the dollar. On the back of the election of the Democratic Party that was reelected to kind of give Shinzo Abe more power going forward. That's obviously something that the market expected, so not a big surprise there. But what's interesting about it, and I'm not sure if that's really what has really been the catalyst for it, but gold price has really run hard overnight. Maybe that's part of the reason. I think also technically we finally got above some resistance and made a close up above the kind of 1395 level, 1385 to 1395 level. Sorry, 1285 to 1295 level. So now we're back above 1300. We'll show it on the charts in a minute, but probably looking like a quick move to 1350 in the cards over the next few sessions. All right, we had Amplats out this morning. EPS at 512. Guidance was for 508. Bloomberg estimates at around 583. Dividend suspension continued due to lower cash generated by operations, increasing debt levels, future funding requirements, and uncertain global economy. So I think that's a little bit of negative that continues to weigh there. And another interesting thing was that they said that they may take a 2.3 billion rand write down if the restructuring that they're talking about is implemented. So watch that one this morning on the back of earnings. I think it hasn't traded well after the trading statement came out, and I thought the trading statement was quite a positive surprise. I think a lot of people, myself included, thought that they were potentially up to make a loss this half year, and it hasn't really looked like it's or hasn't panned out. So I think there has been some upside surprises there. The fact that it hasn't traded well is definitely as a negative. Okay, today before market we've got Halliburton and Kimberly-Clark in the States. We've also got McDonald's and Texas Instruments coming after the bell with Texas Instruments. We've got Divvy coming out today on Netcare of 27 cents. So if you're trading that one this morning, remember that. Really light day for today on market data. We got Chicago Fed at 2:30. We've also got existing home sales that are later in the day, but really light day market data today. So let's just jump into the maps real quick. All right. First thing we'll have a look at this morning is the dollar rand, which you can see here. Just back it out a touch, but we know how big this 780 level is. I mean, if we go back a little bit further historically, you can really see how big of a level is, and you can really see the range for the most part. It's kind of been about a 45-cent range between about 980 and 1025 on the rand. This is really important because obviously, we've seen this prolonged weakness, or we've kind of gotten up here and stuck for the last month and a half. You're not seeing any real rally out of places like Australia, or any of these other commodity countries. I think also, the emerging market currencies also aren't rallying too much. So, I'm not necessarily bullish on this thing breaking through 980. The thing is, if gold does continue to rally and platinum does continue to rally, then that's obviously a big help for the rand potentially breaking through 980. Watch this level closely, because if this thing breaks, I think we're obviously going to trade a hell of a lot stronger, possibly down to the 940 level, somewhere around here, probably testing exactly support, because this range is 50 or 45 points. That would take us right down exactly to support here at 935. That break will probably happen at some point. I'm not saying it's going to happen now, but watch it really closely. We could close below 980. We could get there quite quickly, because I think there's probably a lot of people that are shorting rands off this level. All right. Spot gold, let's have a look, continue on with this little theme here. Remember, we talked about our little risk level here that we needed to see us punch through, which was really, call it just below 1300, from 1285 to 1300, somewhere in that range. That's where we've been stuck for the past few sessions. I would say maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks. We kind of entered into this range before we broke down as well, so we as it was appropriate, I think, to do it before we started to move higher. We finally did break out, obviously, overnight. We've gotten a nice little run up here this morning. If you back out a little bit, you can see here in terms of trend line, resistance has also been broken on this evening's move, or the last night's move. So I think a really good little breakout here in the gold price, which is mostly likely going to take us up here to test at 1350, which you can see right there. And we can also look at this, from how we broke out there. So I'd say the risk our little range that we're going to bounce up to test will be somewhere between 1350 and maybe 1390. But I definitely think it'll struggle at 1350 on the first test there. So watch the gold price closely. If you guys are playing these local things, maybe they can get some sort of dead cat bounce out of this move up in the gold price. All right, Naspers, I'll show this. I'll jump into a 30-day here quickly, 30 minutes, and you can see how we talked about this one on Friday as well. We were in this little range, perfectly in this range, at between 786. So these kind of charts are great because they're so well defined. You can see exactly where we touched up against, which is at 800. I think we touched it 4 times on 4 different days. And then you can see here at 86, we also touched it on 4 or 5 different days. As we broke below 86 right there, on Friday, we really snapped down. I really think that, in terms of the range going from, it's a 14 rand range, so it really should take us down to about 772, which would be somewhere in this sort of neighborhood here. But I think we may even get a little bit more than that, and maybe take us to where we broke out, which was about the 760 level. So I think 760 is this level right here where we're going to want at 765, the level I would look for us to potentially get to in Naspers for us to play off the support. All right, let's look at Cecil. We'll jump into a year. What I wanted to show at Cecil, I'm going to shorten this up quite a bit, but we've kind of put in this perfect little inverse head and shoulder pattern. I mean, if you take if you take the one close that we had right here back at the end of May, we haven't really broken above 50 on a closing basis, but we've really come up and tested it a lot. You can see here we've made a perfect little inverse head and shoulder pattern that we've come up and completed at 450. Now, I know we closed at 440 yesterday, but this pattern is a really nice setup for a close above 450 to take us significantly higher. We're talking about all the way up to potentially 490, 485 to 490, I would say. So this is really, really important, and I just want you guys to watch this closely. I mean, I think this stock should be one of the better performers on our market, considering the weak rand, considering the strong oil price, considering the lack of alternatives, for investing in resources here locally at the moment. No one wants to touch any of the other ones right now. So the fact that this setup makes it, because of those factors, makes this setup even more significant. So if we get above 450 on the closing basis, in my mind, it's a proper breakout in Sassel, and I think it has to be bought. So just watch this one closely. Keep that in mind over the next few sessions. If we end up getting one of those surprise closes where you close up $1.50 in the day, the next day might be one of those days where you can't touch it. So some of those days you actually need to chase it up because it may just have a huge open the next day. All right, Vodacom. This trend line that we talked about the other day as we broke out, it's just come back down to test exactly that trend line. It's at the 112 level, which also has significance from a lateral point of view. And you can see there, right there at the 112 level, I think this is quite an important day for Vodacom today. If we don't find support here at 112, then this thing will probably go back down, kind of get back under trend line, and start to look quite ugly technically again. If we hold from 112 here, then this thing could finally start to make some sort of move to the upside. It's a very important day out of Vodacom technically today. All right, Goldfields, let's jump forward a little bit here. In the 30-day, we showed this one the other day. I just wanted to go to it again because of this big move that we had in the gold price. But really, we're going to be looking here. I mean, we've spent a lot of time below 53. 54 is obviously kind of the high of this recent range, and this morning we're kind of looking like we can break out. I think if we can move above 54 this morning, we could be looking for some sort of significant upside. And I'll zoom this forward a little bit here so you can just see where really this has been at 54. You can see we wicked up there a couple times, and that's also from the bottom of this where we broke below to new lows. So 54 is an important level here in Goldfields this morning. Obviously, I would expect for it to open up, seeing as how it closed higher than that in the States. And we could move significantly higher today on Goldfields and finally be a little bit of a breakout to the upside for once in one of these gold shares. All right, let's look at, last local one I'm going to show here is just Tiger Brands. This is something we've also been talking about quite a few times the last few sessions. The reason why I want to show it is just because of this consolidation that we're seeing that's happening here right above the breakout point over the last few sessions, and that's going to be bullish for this chart. The fact that we've gotten above, we haven't really broken out, but it's not giving it up. So I think that's important. If we can hold above there for another day, this thing could really make a sharp move to the upside. So watch Tiger Brands closely. We could be retesting highs if we can hold on to this trend line. And the last one I'm going to show is IMI machinery out of the LSE. You can see here beautiful pattern where we've broken out of this little slightly upward sloping consolidation pattern. Nice little breakout there. I mean, this range is I would say about £1.75, £1.80, which will give us that on the breakout here above 1380. So we'll be looking up around 1550 level on IMI, which is a hell of a long way from here percentage wise. So keep an eye on that one. There could be some nice room to the upside there. That's it for today, guys. Don't forget to submit your questions to Twitter if you have some questions you want us to go over, or you have a chart you want us to look at in the morning. Send it to us 10-15 minutes before we start the morning call on Twitter, and we'll try to show it to you. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.